Hello and welcome back on my YouTube channel, Parth Doshi, Learning by Doing. So today in another episode of Talk with Industry Experts, we have Sam who is working as a .NET developer and is going to share his knowledge on why a UiPath developer or any person who is working on UiPath tool should learn C Sharp and .NET. Since he is from .NET background and now into RPA, it will be amazing to learn from him. So welcome Sam on my YouTube channel and thank you for accepting the invitation to make this video.
Thank you so much, Parth. It's an honor being in a talk show with you. So yeah.
Amazing. So why don't we start with a short introduction about yourself so that people know about you and you can give a brief introduction about yourself and then we'll go ahead with our topic.
Okay. Uh, Currently, I'm working as a UiPath developer with the Fortune 500 company, United Health Group.
Okay.
And prior to this, I have been working as a .NET developer for 4 years of my initial career,
Right.
and then I transitioned into UiPath.
Right.
And yeah, so far the journey has been terrific.
Amazing, amazing. So before we start with you explaining the reasons of why we should learn C Sharp or .NET, one thing that I would like to ask is when you took that transition from .NET to RP and when you started with UiPath, how much has that particular knowledge of .NET helped you in your that particular transition and then learning UiPath and building complex automations?
Okay. To be honest, it was really very helpful being from a
Mhm.
.NET background. When I first started taking the academy course, and everybody around me who was, people who started doing the same thing with me
Right,
in the company or outside, they were all like, academy courses very fast. They speak very fast, and they don't, explain a lot of things, and they keep on moving ahead, and we
right.
feel like we are left behind. On the contrary, I felt like academy course is the only course that anybody should see rather than taking other courses, because academy course was concise. Academy course was completing everything that you should know. It was very it was covering everything.
Right.
And as far as the pace was considered, from being a maybe because of being from a programming background, I felt like I was able to cope up with the pace. And
Right.
yes, a lot of things helped of being a programming background, and especially C Sharp, because had I been from any other programming language background, maybe it would have been a bit difficult. But C Sharp
Right.
is UiPath is based on C Sharp and .NET. It natively supports VB.NET and C Sharp, so it was big help.
Amazing, amazing. Okay, so now let's start with the actual intention and the purpose of this video that you will be telling us like you already explained how it has helped us, but I would like to know in very much detail since I'm starting my journey as an RP developer and it's been just few months only. So I would like to know that why learning that programming language independently will help me in my UiPath development journey as well. So let's start with the reasons of that.
Sure. Uh, one of my lead used to tell me that the heart of any software is data, because
Right,
that's what we are doing. We are manipulating data in any software application.
right, right,
In UiPath as well, uh, any automation that we'll be building will be, data will be at the heart of it. You have
definitely.
some records to process. So you are taking some inventory, then you are processing it.
Right.
You are breaking it down into several details.
Mhm.
You are typing into some of the details in some text boxes, or you are choosing
Right,
some variables and data and row. For all these things, a very in-depth knowledge of data type is required, because
right,
uh, how are you going to store your data, and how are you going to visualize while writing your code that, okay, this is the type of data that I have. Suppose
right.
your object that you are working on is an employee, so employee has certain fields. How
Right.
you are going to efficiently store those things in your program, in your code,
Mhm.
so that you can
Right,
use it. Let's just start with one example. Everybody who is using RE framework will know that this dictionary is one of the data type that is used
100%.
everywhere in our code.
Right, right,
And somebody doesn't know how to use a dictionary effectively will not be able to use it, or
Mhm.
will find it difficult to how to store it and how to
Right,
use it it is required. So
Right.
using dictionary, and especially if you know C sharp, then you know how to implement a C sharp dictionary. So whenever you are into suddenly put into RE framework, a code written by somebody else, you'll get to know, okay, if those things were given pre-hand,
Right.
at the time of creating your queues,
Mhm.
it's in dictionary and how you can use it. There are many people who create 50 or 30 different data types, sorry, variables,
Right.
and they use it all. And somebody who's
Into
had to
programming.
come into in between of the code and use the
Right.
same code, and they have to remember how many data variables that
Variables.
have been declared.
Mhm.
But if you are using a dictionary, if you know how to use a dictionary, you'll put all those variables into a dictionary and pass it in your workflow and use it.
Right.
So it will be
That.
just one dictionary that you have
Mhm.
to know and use the key value pair. So this concept is very important
Right. That
for an
also
effective
reminds me of
programmer.
one scenario, like when I talk to people or when I have seen people doing automation, right? The one like you are talking, since we are talking about data type, many of them are confused, like which collection should I use? Should I use array, list, or
Exactly.
dictionary? So that is the major problem that I have identified, that most of the people don't understand like what is the right fit, what is the actual difference between the array, list, and the dictionary variable. So if we have done programming or have learned it independently, irrespective of doing the automation, so that concepts will get cleared and will make our development much faster by identifying the correct collection activity that we have to use or the data type we have to use.
Exactly. And in .NET, there are several data types available, like you just said, array, list, and a list. So one is a non-generic and one is a generic. And like you said,
Right.
in which circumstance, which one should be used. If you're not using your memory efficiently, you are making your program heavy. It will take
Right.
much time. Also, that there are several methods that are given by .NET framework. Like suppose you have to add a data item, you have to remove
Right.
a data item, you have to search a data item particular if it exists or not. So you don't have to even know anything. You can if you know simply which method to be used. So
Mhm.
if you have knowledge of the data type and all the methods that are supported on that particular data type,
Mhm.
so your life will be easy. You don't have to go on Stack Overflow and look for things. You can do it
Right.
you know
Right. Even one
without
thing that
even
I have
research.
started doing recently is, so when I'm building any UiPath workflow, let's say it is for any of my video or if I'm learning something, what I do is I just simply keep the Microsoft documentation page open. I just, whatever data type I am using, I'll just go and search that particular data type. I'll see what are the methods. And many times I came across that particular scenario when I searched over there and I found that my these three activities are getting reduced if I'm using this particular method of
Yes,
that function. So
exactly.
that has helped a
Exactly.
lot when I've kept that Microsoft documentation page open.
Exactly. A lot of activities that are there in UiPath, they are simply built on Microsoft properties and methods. So
Right,
if you know them, you can simply use an assign activity, use that method, and you're done.
right, right. Okay.
So
So
knowing data type is one of the core
right.
things.
So I think we have very well understood like one of the advantage of programming that can be is like we saw what are the particular scenarios as well where understanding the right data type and identifying them can save your memory, can increase the execution time and build more robust workflows and reliable as well. So what's the
Yes.
second interesting reason for this?
Okay. .NET comes with a huge number of powerful libraries.
Definitely.
And if you know all those libraries, like I said, being a developer, being an automation developer, your life will be easy. One thing happened in my company that
Hmm.
somebody needed to, you know, post a data through an API for
Okay.
saving. But
Hmm.
the thing was, data was in an Excel data table format,
Hmm.
and
Okay.
that API, it was a third party API that they were using, so they could not modify it because the API was third party,
Right.
and the API only accepted XML.
Okay. Okay.
Data was in data table. API needed that data table to be into an Excel format, sorry,
Right.
XML format.
Right.
And somebody who doesn't know anything else other than UiPath might spend the whole day just how to figure out how to transform, a data
Right.
table into an XML. But if
Mhm.
you know the libraries the .NET have, there's simply one library you can use, and there are several methods of those libraries.
Right.
Like write XML is one of the methods that that I felt like it was so easy. You just needed to pass the data table,
Right.
and you just needed to declare one variable of
XML will.
XML type,
Right.
and your job is done. So what I
Yeah.
did, I was
Mhm.
asked to create a component. So I thought of creating a reusable component and publish it on the orchestrator of our own company, so that if this is something anybody needs, they can simply grab that activity from the
Right.
orchestrator package and do it. So it was very easy. But somebody who doesn't know that so many things are available in .NET, they'll have to spend
Right.
some time
The
fixing or
person might
learning.
keep on searching on multiple websites, and then at the end he will come to a particular website which says that just import this namespace or import this library and get your task done within one single line of code.
Yes, and there is one very useful activity in UiPath that lets you, use any method.
Okay.
Uh, so you simply need to go there in that activity, write the name of the library that you are using,
Right.
uh, then type a dot and then the method that you are
Right.
using.
I think you
You
are
have to
talking
declare
about invoke code, right?
invoke method.
Invoke method.
Yeah,
Invoke
invoke
method.
method. Yeah.
Yeah. Invoke
Invoke
method.
method activity, it lets you use all the .NET methods that are there. So
Right.
you just need to know the method name, and you just need to pass the variable input variable and output
Right.
variable using those methods, those library methods that I'm talking about. You
Hmm.
don't have to even write code. You can simply use the UiPath activity to
Right.
invoke that method, and be done with it.
Yeah,
So
like
it's really nice.
sometime back, I had made one video that was like directory management in UiPath,
Yep.
basically. So in that, I had done all the operations related to directly, like creating, getting the file time, setting the last updated time, creation time. Everything I saw was just possible with one that single invoke method activity and a Microsoft documentation on Google.
Yeah.
So I just
Yeah.
opened that and I explained, I think I covered 6 to 7 functions in that video, and each of them I had to just change the parameters of my invoke method depending upon whatever it is, like if we are using
Exactly.
create, copy, or anything as such, and all the operations related to the directory were performed in that one single activity, and all the other development efforts were saved.
Exactly. This, reminded me of one thing that I faced. There was some situation in which, file name was very huge and system was not accepting it. So what we had to
Hmm.
do is rename the file that we were saving from some external source.
Hmm.
And, with that rename function of the directory method, it was very easy to do it. So one of the, I also wanted to talk about the directory method, that library. It comes with several methods. Like you said, you already have explained five
Right.
to six methods. So it comes very handy in a lot of situations, especially in automation. You have to do a lot of file management. You are
Right.
uploading a file, you are downloading a file, you are reading
Hmm.
a file, moving from file from one place to another.
Right.
Suppose you have to perform something. We, as a good practice, what we do is we move file from the inventory folder to processed folder, like that,
Right.
all the
Right.
time.
Right.
So it's very useful,
Uh,
all these things.
right. Right. Also, it reminds me of one more scenario where this knowledge of libraries can be helpful. Is like when I want to get the last updated file from a particular folder, or if I want to set that particular time. So in that cases also, this particular invoke method or having the knowledge of library can be helpful.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, okay. So let's go ahead with the third reason. It is like I'm really enjoying the reasons, and I think when people will watch this video, they will also understand like why should I learn programming, and specifically since we are giving the exact scenarios, I think that is going to be very helpful to identify in their automation process as well. Okay, so let's go with the third reason.
Okay. UiPath is doing a wonderful job bringing so many things in the ecosystem of UiPath, like UiPath apps, UiPath data services, etc.
Right,
I'm
right.
really glad that they are doing. But let's, talk about a scenario that you don't, your project is short on budget, and they
Okay.
cannot get the license of UiPath apps or
Mm-hmm.
data services, etc. or you are still using some, let's say, there are many companies who are still using 2018 and 2019 products.
Right. Right.
And if you are into such situation, you don't have the flexibility of using a UiPath apps. But
Right.
uh, what you need to do is you need to give your user a input screen from where they'll be able to input several datas and records that is
Right.
going to be used in the automation. And
Mm-hmm.
one particular thing we faced once,
Mm-hmm. Right.
uh, there was a data table that was scrollable, and
Okay.
we were not able to scroll the data, go down.
Yeah.
We were not able to scroll down because the application had some sort of limitation. And
Okay.
because I knew MVC, I
Mm-hmm.
knew entity framework, so
Right.
readily I decided to give them, I talked to the business, those who were SMEs. I said, if I give you a screen where you can give me the exact document number that I needed, so instead of using all those things, filtration and then scrolling down, which was not very reliable, if
Mm-hmm.
we give you a document ID, the particular one that we need to download, could you give it to us? And would it be very difficult for you, or is it going to impact on the savings that we were promised? They said, no, it's very easy for us to give you this
Right.
document ID. So
Okay.
what we did, we gave them a very nice and very simple, no
Mm-hmm.
graphics and all those things, a very simple input screen from where they would enter all the details that we needed to perform the things in our automation. And it widely increased the scope of what we were doing in our automation. A lot of things that we had to
Right.
leave out because the bot was not able to fetch those data or details because of some sort of application limitation, that
Right.
was removed. And the kind of inventory that we were projecting to churn out, that's drastically got increased. So it was really great thing.
Amazing.
And if you know entity framework, you
Mm-hmm.
don't have to spend more than 2 days to create a simple an
Web
entry
page.
screen for the
Right.
user.
Right. Right. Right.
With entity framework, you don't need to write the database coding for connectivity between application and database.
Right.
You don't even have to create database if you go by code first approach. You just need
Right.
to create your classes. Those
Hmm.
classes will be transformed into tables. And
Right.
with MVC, you can a lot of templates are also available. You just need to put the right things into
Mm-hmm.
right places, and your application is ready. So you
Right.
can give them an entry screen with
Mm-hmm.
knowledge of UiPath, sorry, .NET Entity
.NET
Framework.
and
It
MTC
will not
framework and
take you
MVC as
more
well.
than 2 days.
Right.
MVC and Entity Framework, they work
Right.
hand in
Right. So
hand.
now this
So it gives you
helps.
this.
So if there's like you said, you were a .NET and C Sharp developer, you had knowledge of this. So any organization where there are UiPath developers, sometimes thinking out of the box and not always approaching through RPA might also be a very helpful solution to the client.
Yeah. So we also, I was seeing that document understanding, and in the document understanding, we give them, a validation station, and
Right.
something like that. We implemented on our own. We got the data from an OCR, and we just gave them a same similar kind of thing, like that validation station. Like, okay, all these text boxes are there. You
Okay.
just need to look at them, and in the first phase of automation, what we'll do, we will fetch the data and show it to the
Hmm.
users. They'll simply validate it.
Right.
Their validated result will go into another queue, and the next process will take up the data from the next queue, which had the validated data. So there will be
Okay.
lesser chance of
Okay.
any error. And
Amazing.
our orchestrator result was validated and corrected. So we gave them this entry screen in between. So
Right.
such things you can do. You can go out of the box. You can give some custom
Right.
solution to your users, and
Right. Right.
when they see things happening and the accuracy is increasing, they love it. So yeah.
Right. And when there is this kind of solution suggested, the scope also increases of that automation.
Mm.
Like you said, now if there's a common portal that is accessible or a common website to input the data, and after which our bot is doing the processing, right? Now that will be easily accessible to multiple users, and the permission and all also will be very well handled to whom the access should be given, and like what, and
Yeah,
other than what the development part is also hidden, since the
yeah,
processing is done
obviously.
in the backend.
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing, amazing. Okay, so do we have more reasons to
Yeah,
then
I
program?
believe I have, yeah, several other reasons. Like one of the reasons could be using link queries. Like I said, data is the heart and of any software solution that you are building.
Right.
And if you know link queries, .NET supports language integrated queries.
Hmm.
It's very efficient. It's very, it saves time. And
Right.
um, let's say somebody is writing a code in for loop and you forgot to
Hmm.
just write a break statement, a break
Right.
activity, I mean, and that will change the whole result that you were expecting. And
Right. Right.
it's not that you didn't know to put a break activity, you just missed it. But if
Right.
you are using link queries, such complexity, you don't even have to think about it. You just need to write your correct syntaxes and run it,
Right.
and yeah,
Right.
boom,
Right.
link queries are very
Hmm.
powerful.
So
So
as and when the things become a bit complex in development, the more efficient result it is giving. Like when we talk about link or invoke method, or let's say, for example, invoke code as well. If we have to write that 4 or 5 lines of code, which reduces our 6 or 7 activities, so that writing that code perfectly might be difficult at the initial stage, but once
yeah.
it's written, its results are very more advantageous.
Yeah, obviously, like somebody told me, less number of lines of code in your program, greater the chance of, it running, executing perfectly well. So, and also, all these activities that we are using, every activity has certain, threshold time to time out and all those things. So
Right.
those all will be saved if you are using simply one assign activity and writing a code that,
Right.
gets you the data.
Right.
So
So
link query
like
is
we talked about link query, if I want to perform multiple filters or something like that, I will put and or condition in our filter data table activity, which we know at the backend is using the same logic what we are going to write in the link query. So why not
exactly,
understand that
exactly.
link query and reduce that execution effort as well?
The one guy who taught me .NET, he used to tell me, Microsoft is very smart. They are, giving you several abstracts. Like,
Mhm.
okay, there was Microsoft, the classical .NET and, connectivity code, and then
Mhm.
these entity frameworks, all those things have come. So on one hand, it's very fast. It makes you rapidly develop your code. On the
Right.
other hand, it's making you some sort of, it's taking away your, ability to write code. And yeah, that the same thing. UiPath is low code. They say that all the automation is low code, no code, platform. But every time the complexity increases, low code, no code is not going to save you. You must be,
Right.
a programmer, and you have to think like a programmer to solve the solution,
Right.
the problems. To
Right.
get
Right.
to the solution, you need to think like a programmer, somebody who has done, thousands of those star thing that we used to do in the college, and we used to
Right.
think, why the hell we are doing it? But yeah, it
But
was something,
that logic now it helps to understand how should I execute my
yeah,
for loop and what should be included in that. So only this much part
ex-
of the automation is performed.
yeah, that star triangle used to think, it's waste of time, but now I'm getting, no, that was a serious
Right.
programming that we
Now
did.
that reminds me as well that at the time when I was learning, I said I don't think this is required, but now I'm again learning that concept, but just the way of learning is different. I'm using UiPath activities.
Yeah.
Right, right. Okay. So anything else do we have to add over here? Or I think we have covered a lot of topics, and not saying the reasons, but the practical scenarios that we have, I think, discussed in this video might help a lot of people. And I think they might also change their current automation that they are performing, that let's replace these 2 3 activities with one of the invoke code that I understood in this video, or found out at
Yeah.
which particular scenario this can be used. Okay, so I think it has been very interesting till now. Now, what more other reasons that people should know, or the scenarios that they should identify where this particular programming knowledge or that programming mindset will be helpful?
Um, if your code doesn't break, and it doesn't break very often, you're not a good programmer. You haven't written anything good if it's not breaking. so
Right, right.
so code breaking and error, coming is one of the things that programmers feel of, face all the
Right.
time. And certain knowledge of .NET lets you debug your code, efficiently or easily, if you have that. Let's take an example.
Right.
An error is coming saying that, okay, this DT is failing, one activity is failing because DT is initialized, one of the data table is not initialized. And if you know that, okay, if it is an integer or a simple data type like
Right.
string, you don't have to initialize it. But if you are using an object type,
Mm-hmm.
so data table is an object, and if you are using an object type, then it's imperative for you to initialize that with the object
Right.
initialization syntax
Right.
in either in an assign activity or in the default panel, in the down of
Right.
the studio. So
Right.
if it is not initialized, you
Mm-hmm.
may see this error coming out when DT is not getting certain data. When DT is getting the data, that error is not coming and your program is running perfectly well. But suppose the data table was not loaded and it didn't get the data that you
Right.
were expecting, then the
Right.
code will break, and it will give you a stack trace message like, DT was not initialized and
Mm-hmm.
null reference error is coming.
Right.
So if you know programming, you'll simply, null reference error, okay, I must check that I have missed, initializing some of the object type with initial values. So
Right.
like that, you can do a lot of efficient debugging if you
Right.
know programming and
And
all the
also,
tricks.
like when we get that error in UI path, okay, so when we click on that more details option, we see that 5 7 lines of long error messages which are there. Now people I have seen, they just get scared by seeing that message, that what is this, like is the
Obviously,
is the
yeah,
complete workflow wrong or something like that. And like some months back, I have many times got a message where people send me a screenshot that object reference is not set to an instance of an object, and they are like, I did this, I changed that, I did this, all that. I'm like, did you assign the value? Then they're like, no, I didn't do that. So I'm like, just do that and that will solve your problem. Now I think that knowledge will only come when they have actually coded on some applications or other any as such things in C# or .NET, and there they will clearly identify that here I have not done string name is equals to some value, that is why it is giving me this error. Because I have seen that they get
exactly.
confused by just saying object reference. Now it's nothing, you are just not assigning the value, that is what that particular line means. But then they
Yeah,
spend 1 2 hours and then they come to the conclusion, oh damn, I'm not assigning the value.
exactly, exactly.
Right. So error
So
handling also plays a very important role in our understanding as well. Not understanding, but while we are building that robust automation as well.
exactly, exactly.
Amazing, amazing. Okay. So anything do we have to add before we end this video? Because
Yeah,
it has
one
been a,
quick thing.
yeah.
Yeah, sure. One quick thing I'd like to add, just like that, error handling. We all get, when we are writing something, the UI path gives us an IntelliSense,
Right.
those hints. Okay,
Right.
this is a method. So if you know the .NET framework,
Mhm.
you'll know that, okay, this is a method. What are the symbols, that indicates it's a method?
Right.
Then there are several methods that take, let's say one of two, one of four,
Hmm.
and it'll tell you like, okay, first is this data type, second is this data type,
Right.
and
Right. Right.
all those things. If you know, that thing is called, method overloading. And
Okay.
if you are aware of those things, then you will
Mhm.
be able to efficiently use the IntelliSense, check, okay, what other way of implementation of those
Right.
overloaded methods are available. And okay, if it is this one is not suitable for me, the other one is suitable for me. How the data is being passed,
Right.
some methods are taking 2 parameters, some are taking 3 parameters. So
Mhm.
how those parameters are defined, looking at the method and the IntelliSense, you can guess, okay, this takes a boolean parameter, okay, this takes a string
Right.
parameter, and this is how it is going to give the result. So my
Mhm.
output variable that I'm going to create should be of this
This
type.
data type.
A lot
Right.
of type people, when they are creating, splitting a string, they don't know. But if you know already, like, okay, when you split a string, the results come into a
Right.
list, or like that, that's how you're gonna store
Right.
your
Hmm.
output data.
That
So
also
those
reminds me of
things.
one more thing to be added over here is like, let's say I'm using some method and that also takes the parameters. So like when we open just only the first parenthesis, we can see all the functions that it takes and all the parameters that it takes. So we have that one of two, one of three, one of four. So when we do our that down arrow, we get to see that it sometimes takes one parameter only, it sometimes takes two parameter, it sometimes takes three. So that multiple purpose are getting served over there if we are able to rightly identify it.
Yeah, and it's called method overloading. Same method, different parameters and different
Okay.
functionality.
Okay.
So in C sharp we call it method overloading.
Uh-huh.
So that is the whole purpose of
Right.
you, because if you create same method, splitting, let's say you have to split, and there are different ways of splitting. So you don't call all the methods different name, you just give them the same name, split
Right.
method.
Right.
And split is available in different ways for you to do different, with different parameters,
Right.
performing different things.
Right. Right.
So yeah, knowing these things will really help any UiPath developer in writing their code, creating it robust, making it efficient, and save their time of development, I would say.
Right. Right. Amazing. Amazing. I think this video has been one of the very most interesting videos that I've created till now on my channel. And even I got to learn a lot of scenarios that where I should have used programming, or when I used, I got a flashback of that time as well through this discussion. So thank you so much, Sam, for making this video and sharing your knowledge. It has really been an amazing video, and I think it will help a lot of people out there in UiPath community to be a more better UiPath developer, and it might help them in interviews as well. So thank you so much for making this video and covering a lot of real world scenarios as well.
It was really wonderful, sharing things that I know with you and the people out there. So yeah,
Okay. Thank you so much, Sam. Goodbye.
yeah. Bye bye, everybody.